Good morning, or maybe it's good afternoon, or good evening, whatever it is. It is good to be with you lovely people here, and welcome back to our little corner of social media. It is good to be with you today. My name is Brian Steele, and I have the privilege of being the pastor at St. Paul United Methodist Church in Bloomfield Hills and Hazel Park United Methodist Church. 2 days ago in worship, I talked about what is called the doctrine of discovery. This is essentially this belief that was formed off of this document that was written more than 600 years ago, or almost 600 years ago, by Pope Nicholas V. And he wrote what's called this papal bull, like an official church document, to the king in Portugal, that said that any land that they found in their explorations that was not already ruled by white European rulers, that land was theirs for the taking. And any people they happened to find there were subhuman. Now, clearly this led to a lot of violence over the years, unnecessary violence, genocide even, for Native people. I'm not going to go into all of that today, because I did at least some of that 2 days ago in worship. And those services are available online, and maybe you can check them out. But what I didn't get the chance to talk about in worship was some of the questions people have when we discuss topics like this. And there are very understandable questions that should come up. So that's what we're doing this week. One of the most common struggles we have when we not only look at, history in general, but even history in the church, especially around areas of race, obviously, we weren't there. The present people who are living at this time were not living when these atrocities were committed. And from our vantage point, we say we can't be responsible for something that happened before we were even alive. And I think that has some aspects of truth to it. We are only responsible for each of our own actions. We can't control what others do or don't do, and we certainly can't control what happened in the past. But what I think we need to realize is how the past, how history also affects the present. And as I've been kind of working on this myself and working through this, an illustration that I found really helpful for me comes from an author, a pastor, and an indigenous activist named Mark Charles. And Charles describes being a native and living on a reservation in America like being a grandmother in a very large and very beautiful house. And years ago, people came into her house and locked her upstairs in her bedroom. And to this day, her house is full of people eating her food, sitting on her furniture, having a party inside her house. They have since come upstairs and unlocked the bedroom door. But the grandmother is older now. She's more tired. She's more sick. She can't come out anymore. She can't live like she used to because she was locked away for too long. And nobody has ever come up to the grandmother to visit her, to take her hand and say thank you. Thank you for letting us live in your house. I think that's powerful. And I think it also shows how that historical trauma is passed down and still part of the reality of the present, even though it is invisible to a lot of our eyes. And as I thought about this, I think we even see this in the Bible. When the ancient Israelites are sent into exile, this affects them for multiple generations. Now, we do kind of see instances where, even in this new exile land, some of those individuals do eventually find decent footing, make a decent living, make a decent life. Some of them. But there's still this overarching disconnect that exists that has left them with a lack of identity, wondering who they are, especially a disconnect from God because of what they have gone through. And they've lost material assets over that time, and all of the material assets have just snowballed. And those losses matter to God, because they've set back a group of people for generations. Their lives have been harmed by it. And for me, the Christian faith is not just about spiritual truth. It is that. And it is about eventually receiving the gift of eternal life. Big deal. That's a big deal. But the Christian faith is also a physical lived reality. What has happened in history matters. And especially when that is still impacting people today. And sometimes in America today, I think we forget that we are just a generation or two removed from a lot of the tragedies that have happened. What may feel like a distant past to some of us is still part of another's recent family history. So I hope that gives some thoughts for us to consider today. I'm still working through all this myself and still learning. I'll be back on Thursday to discuss some more about one of the other questions that are brought up when we discuss these issues. So we'll see you then. For now, go in peace, and I look forward to seeing you soon.